Our brothers and the occasional sister join us down the Broadsheet Club. I hope this one finds you all well. Today's video I've actually thought quite a bit about before I start yakking, and it's something that is only my view, and I'm only sharing something from my own past experience. And as always, it's not necessarily correct, it's just my own experiences, but I thought I'd share them with you in the hopes that it might be of some use to you. We've all got a perception of what is and what isn't, and this is what is for me. When I turned 60 years of age, I jumped on the scales and I weighed exactly 60 kilogram, which was 18 kg less than I was 7 years earlier. Now 60 kilograms sounds light and you might think, geez, you're a bit of an underweight, Clay. Well, the truth is I am an underweight. I'm very underweight. That's what my natural weight should be around at my age. I've always been very, very light boned and slim. It's just the build I am. But I used to cover that up a bit by overeating. Probably to protect myself going through life in some way, probably to beef myself up a little bit. But I didn't have a body complex or anything. I was quite happy being lean, but maybe I just did it because people were always telling me you got to beef yourself up a little bit and you got to eat more. But no, that's not really the truth either. The real truth is that I was addicted to food. We all love our food, don't we? But the sort of food I was addicted to was bad food, and lots of it. Not like your tucker. It's pretty good tucker, isn't it? Possy yum or poss yum. You want some, boy? There you go, super duck. Not for you, mate. Eat up, pace. Good dog. You get the lion's share, don't you, mate? Good dog. You see, a lot of us humans, have addictions without even knowing it. It's actually very, very common. It's a little bit like anxiety. A lot of people have anxiety and don't even know it. But for the best part, a real addictive nature can be really damaging, because it's not just being addicted to drugs. It could be anything. You could be addicted to sex, could be addicted to watching pornography, addicted to gaming. You could be addicted to, in my case, it was eating, plus I was addicted to hunting. You could be addicted to, addicted to hunting. You could be addicted to a person. You could be addicted to gambling. I've had that addiction. And all these addictions, they're all doing the same thing. They're damaging us, they're damaging relationships, and we're doing it for a simple reason: to escape from pain. Yeah, I got a mate here, Nelson, and he was really obese for a long time, and eventually he couldn't get his eating under control. He couldn't stop it, because that's what addiction can be like. It can be so strong that no matter what you try to do and what you know you have to do for yourself, you can't do, because you're just so addicted to it. And you're so addicted to it because it's your one thing that distracts you from that uncomfortable feeling that I call it pain, but it could be just that uncomfortable feeling for some people, or it could be something you don't want to think about, or it could be something you don't want to feel, or it could be something that's you're not even aware of, it just doesn't feel right and you want to escape it, so you put something in your mouth. And he was like that, and he got that gastro pass, or the thing in the stomach where they staple something. I don't know the procedure, I'm not familiar with it, but that was the only way that he could get on top of his eating. And today I'm sure the pain is still there, but he just can't. That was the only way, but he had to, because it was going to kill him, because that's what overeating does. It kills us, it causes disease. I looked at some pictures of myself the other day taking the young fellas out hunting in the truck, and I realised how overweight I was. So when you're a skinny person, you hide it more. When you're someone that's sort of a little bit lightweight as me, you can get away with being overweight without people realising you're overweight, but you are in fact overweight. The rhubarb needs lots of water, so we'll leave that there for a bit. If you're someone that was like me, that has an eating problem, and particularly if you're someone who's overweight, or it's causing you a disease like diabetes or heart disease or cancer or any of those things, because a lot of those diseases are actually foodborne diseases. If you're one of those people, then if you cannot stop yourself, if you just cannot stop yourself, there's a couple of things you can do. One thing is you can go, okay, the most important thing to do would be to isolate what the pain is that you're feeling. What is it, and what's the uncomfortable feeling when you're going to eat? What is the feeling? To stop in your tracks and go, what am I feeling right now? What is the empty space? Do I feel lonely? Do I feel empty inside? Do I feel unrested? Do I feel uneasy? Do I feel anxious? Am I feeling depressed? Am I feeling just hungry physically? Does my body still wanting to eat? Have I got a deep hunger? when I'm already overweight, why would I be feeling hunger? Well, that could be insulin resistance. You could be heading towards diabetes type 2. But to try to isolate what the feeling is that's making you feel like you want to keep eating. Now, I had a sugar addiction for a long time, and I used to justify it. We'd go pig hunting with the boys, and we'd take some snakes with us, and I'd eat a packet of snakes. Sugar, bang, bang, bang. I would have been on the edge of becoming diabetic type 2. Other diseases were busy taking place because of the amount of crap I was giving myself, but I was heading down a bad road for my health, and yeah, I came to that road because of it. So that's an emotional type of eating. So for me, this addicted to sugar, I was probably feeding candida in my gut, and there was no way. I was for a long time was just a shit eater. Then I went to a ketovore diet, well, actually a keto diet first, and then ketovore, because it wasn't enough. The vegetables and the one, because on a proper keto diet, it's as much meat that fits in the palm of your hand, and that excludes your fingers. That's the palm, and it just wasn't going to cut it for old Clay, because I love my meat and love my fish, still do. And so I go, okay, I'm on a ketovore diet because I'm going to eat a whole lot of meat, and then I put salt on it, of course, and there's the sodium, brings the blood pressure up, and I was heading towards a heart attack. I'd already overcome cancer, prostate cancer, but now I was going down that track of still eating and still. And what was that pain I was feeling? Well, for me, it was definitely to do with my childhood trauma as a kid, being abandoned, and a whole lot of other childhood stuff. But I realised that these were things that I couldn't really change with my conscious mind, maybe my subconscious. So I had some work done with emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, and that was really helpful. But I also still could not really control the eating. It was something which I really couldn't control, and it was killing me. And then eventually 2 years ago I ended up in hospital, and they said, oh, there's nothing wrong, you sent me home. Then I ended up in hospital again. Twice they sent me home, and then eventually I said, fuck this, there's something very wrong with me, and I paid to have a CT scan, $3,000, and that's when we found out there was something very wrong with me. Hospital twice, missed it out. I had coronary artery disease, and I was one of my left anterior descending artery, one part of that there was very occluded, and I required a stent, and I required a whole lot of medications. And that's when my life came to a pivotal point. I realised, you're going to die, son. So I did some tests with a laboratory in Napier, and the results came back that I was 25% chance of sudden death at any given time, and I was 16 times more likely to have a heart attack than somebody else my age. They weren't good odds. And I had hypolipidemia, and I had atherosclerosis of my coronary arterieways. I was very, very sick. So then I made an executive decision to research the crap out of it, just to do as much research as I could to find out if there was another pathway that I could go without doing the stent, and without doing all the 6 medications. Well, there's actually 5 medications that I was supposed to be on, 5 different medications. And because I thought there's got to be, this is a build-up of all my life before, all the bad eating and all the bad sleeping and all the drugs and everything, all the bad life. Is there a way to undo this? So I did a lot of research, and for weeks I buried myself online researching how to halt heart disease and reverse it, and the rest is history. Today what I've got now is not that heart disease. What I've got now is pericarditis. That comes from an infection I got 5 months ago, something completely different. That's when the pericardium, that's the sac around the heart, gets a fluid in it and becomes inflamed. That's what's going on with me now, and having coronavirus doesn't help it. Having said that, it's day 4, and even though I've got pain with it right now, I'm not in really bad shape. I can still like, I'm okay. I think if I'd been overweight right now, I'd probably be dead or very, very sick. So for 2 years I've been on a whole food diet, a whole plant-based diet. Everything around me, I grew this garden. I built the garden when I was sick. I built it because this was my food. I built it so I could have ample amount of nitrogen in my system, which would come from the kale, which produces a nitrite, which produces nitric oxide, which creates vasodilation. Loads of this stuff, spinach, heaps of it. I'm really interested to see how the kumara is going to be this year. It's the first time I've actually grown it. It's the first year. But just like my mate who was overweight, that had to have a staple in his stomach or his gastropass, whatever it's called, just like him, even on this new diet, I still have a problem. 2 years down the track, I've got my weight right, but I still have got that feel sometimes, need to put more in my mouth, and I'm aware of it. But the great thing about it today is the only thing I can put in my mouth is this shit here, because I'm really strict on myself. I do not allow myself to go outside of the realm. Occasionally I eat a piece of fish if I'm doing a primitive challenge, or if I'm serving some up for somebody, I'll have a wee taste, but that's it. Fish and meat are good for you. They're good if you, provided you don't have heart disease. If you've got heart disease, then that's the end of the line. You've come to the end of the line. There's only one way you can actually halt that and reverse it, and that's you've got to allow the endothelial to heal and start producing nitric oxide again. So oil, dairy, fish, meat, which generally have a place in our diet, they're off the table for you. If you carry on eating those things, your disease will progress. So I'm only talking about people with that disease process, and other diseases too can be reversed as well. That's just one. So if you're somebody that's struggling with weight, like I was, with the weight will eventually come disease. You'll either be already diabetic, or you'll be pre-diabetic, and that's a precursor for pancreatic cancer, for heart disease, for prostate cancer, for coronary artery disease. It's a glaucoma of the eye, where you go blind. The biggest cause of peripheral vascular disease, where you have your limbs removed. If you are pre-diabetic, then or you have diabetes, then most likely you also have an association with getting some fulfillment from putting food in your mouth all the time, like I used to have. Now, when I say I used to have it, I still do, but I can no longer, because I couldn't control my addiction with food, and never have been able to. I still crave meat every day, and I crave fish every day, and I crave cheese, and I crave dairy, and I still crave it. I've never been able to get. I'm like an alcoholic, but with food, and it's no different. If you are someone like me that has struggled with food, what I'll tell you is that I'm wearing these because my eyes are fucking sore, light sensitive. COVID seems to fuck your eyes up. If you're someone like me that was like that, then one path you could take, which will guarantee that you will lose weight and you can eat as much as you want, is you could go to a whole plant-based diet. I call it the arse food diet, because you fart a lot. Although I don't anymore. My stomach, the microbiome is now good. I eat between 30 and 50 different vegetables a week, and fruits. Very, very limited amount of nuts and seeds. A lot of seeds actually. I have quite a few seeds to get the good fats, the omega-3 for the EPA and the DHA. But realistically, the only thing I have which would be considered probably a little bit naughty would be, and it's not as bread, which is a wholemeal bread, and it's also, of course, a sourdough bread, so very low in gluten, and I make it myself. So I grind and mill everything on a German stone mill, and I make my own flour on the day, so that the flour itself, it hasn't any oxidation. Because if you have flour sitting on a shelf in a bag somewhere that's been ground in a warehouse, it gets oxidated, and then it gets put in the bread, and then of course you lose all the goodness too. So that's why I make my own bread. Not always. Sometimes I buy it, and if I do buy it, I buy it locally at Gerard's shop down at Marpur. Really good bread down there. Shouldn't be giving this away, because otherwise there'd be no bread left for everybody else. I rarely rate their bread. Anyway, that's my answer, or that was my answer for me, for my struggle with food-borne diseases. Was going to a whole plant-based diet. It's no fun. I don't enjoy it. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who doesn't have a disease. I would say keep your meat and your dairy and your fish all in moderation, like everything should be. But if you do have a disease, or if you do have a food addiction, you can eat as much vegetables as you want, and you're always going to be 60 kg if you're lightweight like me. For a long time I was much lighter, and I'm actually starting to get my strength back up. Until I got this fucking pericarditis 5 months ago, I was really starting to power it up. And that was from a viral infection. And let's see how I go with the old coronavirus. It doesn't seem, this is day 4, doesn't seem as bad. It's just my eyes today, a bit of a headache. But I think it's going to be fine. I think we're going to be okay. I'm more concerned about the old pericarditis and the old Rona. My 2 cents worth on addiction with food, and one of the reasons I think that was always putting stuff in my mouth is there was some sort of uncomfortable feeling that I was trying to escape. And I think it comes, I'm not sure, but I think it comes from being put in hospital when I was 5 years of age and left for weeks and weeks on end without my mother. I think it was an abandonment thing. I don't know 100% because I can't remember a lot, but there was also some other things that went down in my childhood that weren't flash, but that there was one of the things I think which caused that need all the time, that emotional wanting to put something in my mouth. Today I don't have that emotional need so much at all. I think I've got it's there, but I think I've got a really good handle on it. I think this happens too when you become aware. I think you become aware of it. Anyway, brothers and the occasional sister, this has been a very, very chilled in the garden yak with old Clay again. Go steady, and if you want to comment below on what your 2 cents worth is on your own food addiction, if you do have one, most people don't. You might have another addiction. You might be addicted to gaming, or you might be addicted to scrolling on your phone, or you might be addicted to pornography, or you might be addicted to people. You might be addicted to hunting. I've been addicted to hunting. Yeah, right below and give us your 2 cents worth. I'm keen to hear. Go steady, have a great day. While I'll start shifting this hose around. Keep water on all my plants. They got to be water. They got to have to be watered every day because it's windy and it's hot right now. See ya.